Hey everyone, and welcome back to How World Building Works, a series where we talk about creating worlds and settings for all mediums. Today's episode is a quick look at the rules of worlds, what they are, and what happens when we break them. So for me, the way I define the rules of a world is that they're the structures and frameworks that boil complex characters and ideas into a relatable story. For a more concrete example, let's say you decide to make a character immortal. Can they die from being shot or stabbed, or is there nothing that can kill them? The answer to this question will change who they are and how they handle situations, and your world gets deeper as you answer more of these questions. How did they become immortal? Are they a special mystical alien race? Were they cursed? And whenever magic or fictional technologies are used, I find the more that's explained and outlined, the more engaging the world becomes. It's incredibly annoying when a mystical artifact or hyper-advanced device are left vague until some key scene where they solve everything, or a rule is suddenly made up to render them useless. It's more interesting to weave rules slowly throughout the story and watch characters solve problems and interact with each other, knowing for the most part what actions are possible to take. In the same way gameplay provides rules for your interactions within a game world, rules and narrative should be a consistent backbone for that setting. It sucks when a rule is mentioned but completely ignored, and it sucks when rules are suddenly created to resolve a problem but then they're never mentioned again. Like, if a deadly poison can kill someone in 5 seconds, then that's it. Don't have it insta-kill a bad guy, but then take way longer on a hero for dramatic effect with no explanation. And if there's suddenly a cure for the hero, yay, the day's saved. Build up to what it is and why it could reasonably be there right when the protagonist needs it and not the villain. And world building isn't limited to just sci-fi or fantasy. Rules, in the way I'm defining them, extend to every aspect of your setting, even your tone and flow. In Zelda games, for example, you know for sure that Link will save the day, and that any loss or pain of other characters is either resolved at the end or it's very subtle. One of the more abstract rules of Hyrule, I think, is arguably that good and evil are distinct opposing forces. In Game of Thrones, however, good and evil are intertwined. If we see a character who's kind or happy, we know something horrible is probably about to happen to them. And the story would fall apart if characters suddenly started achieving their goals with little consequence after there's been so much buildup and so much hardship throughout. As one character falls, another should profit. That's the flow the audience has come to expect, and this pattern is completely independent of any magical or fantasy elements in the story. Stories set in the real world will still have rules constraining how they portray that setting. You could write a story about a plumber in Texas and show the world as Zelda does, with clear good and evil, reward and punishment. Or as Game of Thrones does, with a more ruthless, uncaring world and morally gray characters. This is where I think any great fantasy or sci-fi story could be adapted to have no magical elements at all. The characters and their problems should be relatable in any setting. A fictional world just provides a different arena for them to face those obstacles, and it's important to set up rules so people understand what arena and what systems they're even allowed to operate under. And even though the word rule can seem limiting or restrictive, I actually think there can never be enough. As you build up more details and possibilities, you can play with your audience's expectations in a way that doesn't feel cheap. Like if you have a murder mystery and spend 80% of your story focusing on Jack, Peter, and Stephanie as your suspects, the killer shouldn't be a Tiffany we've literally never heard about until the very end. It's so unsatisfying to theorize about who did it if we're absolutely guaranteed to be wrong. But it's great to experience the story a second time through and see why Jack was the killer and the others weren't. Also, rules and details don't mean your story has to be serious and biologically and historically and politically accurate. Like, your goal is not necessarily to be Tolkien. Cartoons like Adventure Time or Rick and Morty, for example, can appear to have no rules at all and infinite possibilities, but there's a clear backbone there, and you'll notice each episode building on who the characters are, how things work, and what's allowed in that universe. In any case, this is just my opinion, but I think no matter the genre or medium, all great stories give readers some set of clear, well-defined rules and explore characters through them. And this idea is a huge part of what we're going to continue to talk about in this series, and I have so much more to say, but we'll end it here for this week. The challenge for the last video just ended, so I'll post another one on this topic, and I really look forward to seeing what crazy ideas everyone comes up with. Anyway, I hope you all are having a happy day wherever you are, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!